Hey guys, I'm back. I just wanted to do just another video. um, okay, so I'm still feeling okay. Um, Not so much yesterday, but not bad, not compared to how I had been. And I'm not sure. I still have like a lot of heat intolerance, and it's starting to heat back up again for the next 3 days here. It's going to be in the high 80s, low 90s, and so I'll see how I do then. Like I said, I still had lingering issues, but a lot of stuff has been cleared up. And yesterday, I was able to drive my roommate to work and went to the convenience store last night, and so I'm still able to get out and about without feeling absolutely exhausted and sick. Last night, though, when I did the treadmill, I had been doing about the past couple of days, I was doing the 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes on the treadmill. And last night, after 30 minutes, I found I couldn't go any further, and I don't know what that was about. I was just exhausted. I just couldn't do it anymore. So it seemed like forever. Just like telling myself, just get to 30 minutes, and then when I did, I was like, okay, I got to stop. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll do more later. But I think, well, I'm just going to take a break and then tonight see how far I can go. So hopefully that's not an issue because I enjoy exercising, being able to move around unlike before. So hopefully it was just an off day. Another thing I've been doing is because I had some problem with Metamucil before and I want to increase my fiber intake. So what I do as soon as I wake up, I've been having the past couple of days just a can of beans and just kind of get all the fiber in at once. And that seems to be, I digest that fine. It doesn't seem to be a problem with me at all. It's not causing any issues. So I'm happy about that. And then also I had spoke in another video about a couple books that I was going to read. And I said I wasn't too sure about this book yet, but I'm halfway through it, almost halfway through it. And it was the Embrace, Release, Heal. And it's definitely worth it. It's actually one of my new favorite books because there's a lot of references in it for other books that I can read eventually. Um, the other things that I want to talk about is I called for my follow-up appointment yesterday for my surgery, and so on the 14th I go to the follow-up from that, and I feel a little bit nervous about going, not so much for the follow-up because I know he's just going to push on my stomach and tell me everything looks good, and then I'm fine. I mean that's pretty much what follow-ups are, and then just bill my insurance company. So that's fine. A little bit further than I want it to be. It's not so much the distance as it is that I don't know what the temperature is going to be, so I made the appointment in the morning since heat, adversely affects me. But the real reason why I have concern is because I know that he does the colonoscopy, and I need to have that done. But what I need to find out from him is if he does the endoscopy, because I need that as well. I don't like medical tests, and I don't like doing things like that, so it just makes me feel nervous. Like after I made the appointment and I hung up the phone, I felt that hit of just anxiety of, knowing the anxiety isn't because of him, it's because I know that I'm going to actually go and on purpose ask for these diagnostic tests to be done on me, and it's not something I usually do, and I don't like, everything has a risk. I just don't like, stuff like that. And for me, I'm not just sedated because I can't have the benzodiazepines. So they have to actually completely knock me out for these tests, and even though perforation of the colon's rare during a colonoscopy, when you're completely sedated, it's more likely, still rare, but more likely only because when you're sedated and you think that you're sleeping, you're actually not. So if they're doing the colonoscopy and it's getting, into a spot that hurts, you'll actually say, ow, and they back off and then continue. But when you're completely out, you don't get to say ow, and they just keep going through, and that's where the danger is with the perforation. But I'm going to have to do that because if you guys have watched the past video, I think part of the title was 23andMe. I did the DNA test, and I actually had, my mom had the colon cancer, and my mother's father had stomach cancer, and he died at age 40 from stomach cancer, and my mom died at 68 from a stroke, but ultimately all this was, due to chemotherapy and everything else from the colon cancer that she had for the past 2 years. I have the gene for both, the stomach and the colon. Don't have all the genes, so that's good. I don't know if my mom had the gene because she was never tested for that, but I have the elevated risk factor for gastric cancer of the stomach, and I have the elevated risk factor for colon cancer. Although my colon cancer risk isn't as high as my stomach cancer risk, which is good to a point. Not that I want stomach cancer either, and with me telling everyone that, I've had the blood and the vomit and stuff like that, it's a little bit of a concern. Also, I had H. pylori, which ups the risk of gastric cancer. And I was treated for it, but I'm not sure if it's even gone, so I have to make sure, that's gone, because that's another risk factor that I don't need, especially if I have a gene, for it. So yeah, I have to do that. And I went to go visit my father yesterday. I have not seen him. Well, my mother passed away on the 17th, and I had not seen him till he saw me in the hospital for 10 minutes before my surgery. He stopped in that morning, and then I had not seen him again until yesterday. And I just wanted to go over, I had some stuff that I had to pick up, but I just wanted to make sure that he looked okay, that he was eating okay. And he was. When I got there, he was actually eating breakfast, and he was playing the radio in the kitchen, which he usually doesn't do, but, obviously you don't want to sit there in silence, so he was playing that. And my father is not a very, he's not one to hug people. He doesn't say anything to you. He was always in some people who watch my videos know my father, so they know what I'm talking about. But before I left yesterday, I was like, okay, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow or whatever, because I've been calling him, every day, or he calls me, because I just, concerned about him being alone in the house all the time now. And he just automatically comes at me with his arms, and I was just like, oh, and then he hugged me, which was nice. It was just different for him, and I'm hoping that lasts. It's nice to know that he actually cares. I think part of it's he's lonely, which I can understand, completely. He was married to my mother for 36 years, and they've lived together for 36 years and gone through whatever they've gone through that even I don't know about, between husband and wife. So he went to church on Sunday. He went to my aunt, my mother's sister, so my aunt. He went to her house this past weekend with my sister. So he's getting out and he's doing things. He went to Freihofer's Run for Women to watch that this past weekend. So my main concern was that he wasn't going to go outside of the house very much. And I knew when my mom used to go on vacation before she was sick, like he just wouldn't eat very well because she was the one who, cooked all the meals, and he would just kind of paint the backyard fence, and then she would come home and he'd stop eating hot dogs and rice. So hopefully, he continues to eat well and that he can find a life outside of my mom. I'm still having my moments, which I think are going to go on for a very long time, about my mother. I have, most of the time I'm fine, and then last night I wasn't. I don't know what it is. It just comes over me that I want to call her, and I realize I can't call her, and then my brain tells me that I can never call her again. And never again is a very long time. So that's hard for me, and it's for anyone who's lost a parent, probably what I'm talking about. I mentioned the exercise before. I had only done the 30 minutes last night, so I felt like I didn't do enough, but yet I didn't feel well enough to do more. So I was kind of like, all right, well, I have to do something. So I dug out this object here. It's an arm bike pedal. So you turn it with your arms. You can use it for your feet, but I use it for the arms. And I turned it 1,000 times, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not that hard to turn. So I just did that just to add some extra, not really cardio. I just wanted to get my heart rate back up a little bit so I can keep working on that issue. I'm going to throw this out there. I never do this, but I like cats, like the animal cats. And I've always wanted a Sphynx, but they're very, very expensive. And I've always wanted a male and female Sphynx kitten. And I keep seeing them on TV. And like $1,500 to $2,000. They're just expensive. But if anyone out there who ever watches me actually raises these cats and you want to be generous, please feel free to send me a male and female baby Sphynx kittens, because I desperately want them, and I know all about their care. I've been, looking up. I know they can't be in direct sunlight, and I know you have to clean their ears, and I know all that stuff. So no matter how old this video is, if you see it, contact me, because more than likely I'm not going to be flooded with offers to send me free Sphynx cats and everything. But in the meantime, my hobby has been raising butterflies, which I have done as a child, and I started recently doing before my mom passed away. And so the easiest butterfly to raise is the painted lady butterfly, because you can order them online and you can also get artificial diet for them. So I will show you. I have a batch that I already had that hatched, and they mated with each other and they laid eggs, and now the eggs have hatched and I'm feeding those caterpillars. But I want to breed them for a while, and so you can't keep inbreeding. So I had to order another batch, and so this is what it looks like. It comes with a cup. There's 4 in this cup, and I have 5 chrysalises, which you guys probably know as cocoons, but butterflies actually have chrysalises, and moths have cocoons, but that's neither here nor there. So the green stuff in the bottom is the artificial diet that they eat, and that's what I ordered online recently, is this artificial diet, because it's much more convenient than feeding them romaine lettuce, which they will eat, but it gets expensive because the romaine lettuce, dries up, and you also have to make sure it's organic, because you can't feed them ones with pesticide on it, they'll die. And so that's what I've been doing, with those. I had 5 butterflies that laid well, not 5, some were female, some were male. So after they got done laying their eggs, I took them outside yesterday morning, and I let those 5 butterflies go. And then I have 2 more that hatched yesterday. And then I have the caterpillars in a coffee can eating the romaine lettuce. And then I have the artificial diet on the way. And I'm hoping that the other ones will breed with each other and lay more eggs. And what I would like to do is I want to keep letting them go, so I'm not going to be able to keep hundreds and hundreds of butterflies in my house. But my goal is, I've always been very interested in genetics, and I know how people can manipulate fruit flies and stuff like that. I would like to take the larger, because painted ladies only have a certain wingspan, and I want to take the largest of the large when they hatch and only have the large ones breed with each other, and just kind of see over time how big I can get them. I'm obviously not going to get them to be super big, but I want to be able to breed larger ones than what usually come out, and just kind of play with the genes a little bit by selective breeding, which I'm sure none of you really care about, but that's actually my hobby. I kind of am into stuff like that. The other thing that I want to show you is after you have surgery, and many of you out there have, that they come to your room and bring you this little meter for you to breathe by inhaling, and they want to make sure you get up to a certain point, because after you have anesthesia, it can make your lung volume less temporarily, and so they want you to build your lungs back up and cough stuff out. Now, when I first had surgery, after lung surgery and after this surgery, I was only 500. Which you move the little thing down there, and I was only able to get to there. And so this time in the hospital, I said, well, for my age and weight, how far should I be able to get when I'm perfectly healthy? They're like, oh, the 4,000 mark. I started thinking, really? Because I've never been able to get to that even after lung surgery, and they only removed 2% of my lung, and it's not even usually a functional part. I had the partial lower lipectomy. So I'll do this. It looks stupid, but I'll do it. And I think you can see the numbers. Now, I end up coughing from it, which I just coughed anyway, but I don't know, I'm going to have to, I had the breathing test. If you guys really follow my videos, you know that I got low on the breathing test in January of 2010 at the pulmonologist, and he was just kind of like, oh, well, he just kind of blew it off. All the doctors are blowing everything off that I've had done. He didn't even want to do the breathing test, because he said, oh, I'm sure I'll be fine, And it came back low, and then he was just talking about anxiety, and so I was like, whatever. So I'm thinking about seeing another pulmonologist, especially with my history with the lung surgery. I want to make sure, and I have the long history of smoking as well, so I want to make sure that there's nothing else going on or nothing else that I can do to increase this. Maybe if I keep exercising, it will. But anyway, I'll get right to the point. So I have to breathe out and then do this, and you can watch it go up. Okay, and that's the problem. It tingles all through here like fiberglass, and it feels like I can't inhale any further, and I start to get pain on the right side of me in my lower lung. I think it could be scar tissue from when I had the surgery in 2000. But I got to right here, and that's really about as far as I can actually go anyway when I've had this machine before. So I'm not sure why I'm missing this much of the lung volume. I would like to get it, higher, because not inhaling properly can also increase your heart rate, only because your heart is trying to get the oxygen around your body. And so it has to beat faster to do it, and it's not very efficient when it does it that way. So that could also be contributing to the faster heart rate, which I will be checking out with the cardiologist. Someone from my past, I'm not going to say, who it is, has contacted me shortly after my mother's death, and she, it's just weird that she's come back into my life, and we have a lot to talk about, and she understands me, and I know a lot about her as well. And I take things as signs, and so she kind of mentioned a couple doctors that either she was involved with directly or her family was, and so I think I'm going to try some of those because, maybe they won't work out for me, but, sometimes things are put out there for you, and so she had mentioned a cardiologist, and so I am thinking about seeing that one, and, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I will see someone else, but I didn't really have one to go to, so, and the last person I went to in 2009, as you all know, just completely was like, oh, your heart's anxiety, which of course now St. Peter's knows that it's not because it was still happening under anesthesia. So this man is in a different group altogether, so I would like to make an appointment with him soon. I'm just waiting until I am not as sore. I'm not really that bad, but I want to heal up completely before I end up having to do more tests because, if he wants to do a stress test or something, I want to be able to have full capacity. They make you run as fast as you can eventually, and I want to be able to do that without any pain. Because even yesterday when I saw my father, I had to unbuckle my actual belt on my jeans because I've been wearing really loose pants, and the belt itself was pressing into one of the incision areas, and so it was uncomfortable driving. So I unbuckled that and just had my seatbelt on, and then once I got out of the car, I just buckled it back up. So I just want to make sure I'm not sore and that everything's completely fine, just to make sure these tests are as accurate as possible. And that's it for today. I mean, I could go on longer, but I was babbling. I'm not just kind of all over the place today. But anyway, all right, so I will make another video as soon as I have something more to say to you and as soon as I'm able to. So I'll talk to you all later, and keep emailing me, and bye. It's not so much the distance as it is that I don't know what the temperature is going to be, so I made the appointment in the morning since heat, adversely affects me. But the real reason why I have concern is because I know that he does the colonoscopy, and I need to have that done. But what I need to find out from him is if he does the endoscopy, because I need that as well. I don't like medical tests, and I don't like doing things like that, so it just makes me feel nervous. Like after I made the appointment and I hung up the phone, I felt that hit of just anxiety of heal, and it's definitely worth it. It's actually one of my new favorite books because there's a lot of references in it for other books that I can read eventually. The other things that I want to talk about is I called for my follow-up appointment yesterday for for my surgery, and so on the 14th I go to the follow-up from that, and I feel a little bit nervous about going, not so much for the follow-up because I know, he's just going to push on my stomach and, tell me everything looks good and then I'm fine. I mean, that's pretty much what follow-ups are, and then just bill my insurance company. So that's fine. A little bit further than I want it to be. Hey guys, I'm back. I just wanted to do just another video. Okay, so I'm still feeling okay. Not so much yesterday, but not bad, not compared to the, how I had been. And I'm not sure, I still have like a lot of heat intolerance, and it's starting to heat back up again for the next 3 days here. It's going to be in the high 80s, low 90s. And so I'll see how I do then. Like I said, I still had lingering issues, but a lot of stuff has been cleared up. And yesterday, I was able to drive my roommate to work and went to the convenience store last night. And so I'm still able to get out and about without feeling like before. So hopefully it was just an off day. Another thing I've been doing is because I had some problem with Metamucil before, and I want to increase my fiber intake. So what I do as soon as I wake up, I've been having the past couple of days just a can of beans and just kind of get all the fiber in at once. And that seems to be, I digest that fine. It doesn't seem to be a problem with me at all. It's not causing any issues. So I'm happy about that. And then also I had spoke in another video about a couple books that I was going to read. And I said I wasn't too sure about this book yet, but I'm halfway through it, almost halfway through it, and it was the Embrace, Release, Absolutely Exhausted and Sick. Last night, though, when I did the treadmill, I had been doing about the past couple of days, I was doing the 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes on the treadmill. And last night, after 30 minutes, I found I couldn't go any further. And I don't know what that was about. I was just exhausted. I just couldn't do it anymore. So it seemed like forever. Just like telling myself, just get to 30 minutes. And then when I did, I was like, okay, I got to stop. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll do more later. But I think, well, I'm just going to take a break and then tonight see how far I can go. So hopefully that's not an issue because I enjoy exercising. You know, being able to move around